literally an hour to get home when it takes me 20 minutes to get home from McDonald's. I was like, when you were like texting me, I was like, good, because I don't even know if I'm going to be there on time. Good thing we're running late.
At some point, so I've been writing a Hallmark romantic comedy, which is something I've never done before. I don't write things where people don't die. But I thought in this time I'd try, and so I'm writing something where people don't die. So I was like, Jennifer, we have 2 hours before the podcast. You have to make me watch a romantic comedy, and so that's what we were doing. Yeah, Clyde is out. No, we should start.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. All right, we'll do a vocal test real quick. Test, Jennifer.
Test.
Ed.
Test.
And Tiffany.
Test.
Ed, or Jennifer, I need you to say something again.
Something again.
That'll work. All right. Test.
Pre-show banter. Yeah.
Ed.
Test.
And Tiffany.
Test.
Ed, or Jennifer, I need you to say something again.
Something again.
Okay. That's my wife, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Here we go. It's a little bright.
Yeah, we have weird lighting.
Bright. Yeah, we don't have sufficient lighting. Ah! What? All right, we'll play with the lighting as we go. All right, here we go. From the top. Wait, where's my music? Where is my music?
Music makes the people.
Boom. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Today, you're so good to me, I know, but I can't change. Tried to tell you, but you look at me like maybe I'm an angel underneath, innocent and sweet. Yesterday I cried. You must have been relieved to see the softer side. I can understand how you'd be so confused. I don't envy you. I'm a little bit of everything, all rolled into one. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother.
Seriously, I hate that song. I hated it when it was popular. I hated it when it was the #1 song on the radio and they played it constantly on modern rock radio because they considered it modern rock. I hated it when it was a Sheryl Crow song 5 years earlier. I hate this song. I hate it so much. I hate everything about it.
Welcome to the Gleeful Podcast Rant by Josh Burnell.
Welcome to the Gleeful Podcast with Josh and Ed. I'm Josh.
I'm Jen.
I'm Ed.
And we have joining us tonight, we have listener Tiffany joining us tonight. Listener Tiffany.
Hello.
What's up?
If you're watching live, we have 4 people watching us live, and listener Tiffany is wearing a Gleeful t-shirt.
Yes!
Yeah!
It's the coolest thing ever.
OM Glee.
So that's amazing. But listener Tiffany, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And tell us a little about, I know you as a co-host on Ed's Nimbus Magnifica podcast.
Yeah. Oh, Nimbus Magnifica. Okay.
So tell us a little about your relationship with Glee.
So I started watching halfway through the 2nd season. And then I went back and watched bought the series on DVD, and then it was on Netflix, so I stopped doing that. But I had the first 3 seasons on DVD. I was gonna have the whole set, but whatever. I actually started listening to Gleeful, maybe episode 2025, I think, and then went back and like powered through and listened to the first half as I was listening to the next bit. I would like listen to like 3 or 4 episodes, catch up on the current one, and then go back. So it took me a while to catch up, but I've been a listener for a fairly long time, and I actually started following Ed and all of you personally, stalking your Twitters because of the show.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for wearing a Gleeful t-shirt.
Yeah.
And we are here tonight to discuss The Hurt Locker, Part 1.
Part 1.
Is what it's entitled. And we have some songs to discuss. We have some plot lines to discuss, all of which are very vague because it's an Ian Brennan episode. But we will get into all of that as we go. But before we do, Jennifer,
Hey, Josh.
how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right. I watched a romantic comedy tonight
You did?
before recording this podcast, which is something I never do.
Mhm.
I really only watch romantic comedies unless there's zombies involved.
You have to say rom-com if you want to be legit. You have to say
I need
rom-com.
to say rom-com.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, rom-com.
That's the
Yeah.
correct wording.
Yeah.
But, well, I mean, honestly, though, I wouldn't even call this that. It was more of an
No.
indie flick that had a romantic undertone to it. This is actually a really big movie weekend for us.
We did,
Well,
yeah. Oh my God.
for me.
Okay, so we watched In a World. If anybody's asking,
was
what the heck
fantastic.
we're talking about, it is fantastic.
That's the.
I heard about that on NPR. That was supposed to be good.
It is amazing. Honestly, it is. It's an hour and a half, so it's like it's perfectly doable in a short span of time. But it's really good. There's so much stuff in there, and there's so many great elements, and
Yeah.
family and romance, and career struggle, and feminism. It was just like really good.
Yeah. It was cute. Let's talk about Whiplash.
Okay.
Now, if you have not seen Whiplash, like seriously, okay, like I didn't sleep. I loved. We watched Whiplash last night, and then we went to the bar, and we had a bunch of drinks and talked about Whiplash.
Oh my God! And I'm crying
and
to
then
the
we came
bartender. She
home.
was looking at me. I was like, "We just came to see the
And kept-
movie, and I'm still excited." and
Woke
it was
up this
so great.
morning. We went and did one of those sensory deprivation tanks this morning, where you
The floats.
float in
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's really cool.
We did that for an hour.
So
The entire
good.
time I thought about Whiplash. Like, you guys, Whiplash is freaking incredible.
Amazing. And
Whiplash.
okay, fine. It's nominated for an Academy Award. It should win Best Picture, but it won't. Okay, fine. The biggest travesty is that, like J.K. Simmons was amazing because he's always amazing and he's so fantastic. But Miles Teller, like nobody has like uttered
Whiplash.
his name.
Seriously.
And I'm like, I just don't understand, but it's so good. And if you like music or if you can appreciate live performance.
Appreciate life.
Not everybody likes that stuff.
No,
Not
live, but
everybody likes that stuff.
live performance. Because they're
Wow.
so beautiful and, just momentary in the live performance.
Drop what you're doing.
Yeah, just go.
Just go watch
Yeah,
Whiplash.
like, shut us
Anyway.
off right now.
Stop the podcast. Go watch something. Ed, how are you tonight?
I'm great. It's snow on the ground, which makes me yearn for California. Thank God, only 7 more days. I get to return. I get to return home, as I'm called. As people at work are like, "Why are you even here?" I'm like, "I don't." You're right. Why am I even back? I should just stay.
Just transfer.
Yeah, just transfer to San
Just don't go
Francisco.
back.
I mean, I did tell Brian like there is a greater than 0% chance that I'll accidentally miss the flight home, but then I came home and then here I am.
Oh, you're so responsible.
I know. That's a problem. So you're coming to San Francisco again in a week?
Yeah, I come back for the 1st to the 14th again, and then maybe in March again, and maybe in April again. Who knows? We'll find. It's like I find out as it happens.
Wow.
And then in
So much time to watch Whiplash.
so much time. And then in other stuff that I'm working on, I've been serious in quotes. We'll see how fast I'm moving along, but there should be something available for you to download at some point by Ed. That is as generic as I'll say. Lots of work has been going into this though.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Well, we look forward to that. And finally, you, Tiffany, give us your life in 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, well, I just moved to New York City a couple of months ago, and today they called for a blizzard of 1 to 3 feet. I've never seen
Oh,
this
God.
before. I'm from the South. I went to college in Miami because I like being hot. I'm not exactly certain how I'm going to function tomorrow because my office is open, which means I have to go to work.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole East
That's a
Coast, my
problem.
parents are out visiting for 4 months, and they every morning they look at the newscast for New England, and they're like, okay, we've got blizzards, we've got hurricane winds, and so forth. So where were you living before this, Tiffany?
I was in Memphis. If we got a snow of 1 to 2 inches, like the entire town shut down. So the fact that there's going to be 1 to 3 feet and people are still functioning,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what to do with that.
There's no
Wow.
stopping. All I can recommend is shoes with good plugs, so you have traction, and layers. From a former East Coaster, that's all I can say.
If I can survive the winter, then I will tell you for certain if I'm meant to be in the city or not. I love a lot of things about it, like the fact that I can get anything that I want delivered to me, food, booze, groceries, just all sorts of stuff. My mother was like, you can get stuff delivered beside pizza? And I was like, yes, everything. Everything. Just bring it to me.
That is entirely true. What are you doing in New York?
So I work for an organization I work for a nonprofit that helps nonprofits and foundations sort of function better. And I've been working sort of nonprofit for the past 5 or 6 years. I'm just doing it at a slightly better salary because New York pays more, but it also costs so much.
Also true.
Yeah.
True.
The best news is that hopefully, fingers crossed, tomorrow we will close on the sale of our house in Memphis, which has been on the market for 9 months, and then I'll be really, really happy.
Oh, good
Very
luck.
cool. Well, good
Lots
luck.
of
Congratulations.
yeah.
Thank you.
Continue saving companies that save the world, and I will continue watching movies where people lose a foot. So that sounds delightful. We are here to discuss the latest episode of Glee entitled The Hurt Locker Part 1. Lots of interesting stuff happened in this episode. We found out that Sue has a hurt locker, which I thought was brilliant. We found out that hurt locker has a secret room in which she is obsessed with Klaine, in which I had mixed feelings. We also got a bit of some Samchel. We also got the continuing story of how Will Schuester somehow killed his wife and buried her, and so deep that no one even remembers she existed. And we got a little bit of Blaine and Karofsky. As we go around the circle and get a temperature on everybody, Jennifer, what did you think of The Hurt Locker Part 1?
Well, okay. Looking at this as the first half of a full episode, I'm just going to give it a B-. I mean, there were some great moments, and I know we'll cover them, but it was, 18 minutes before the first song, 35 minutes before the second song. And it was just so much setup. I'm just going to give it a B-.
Interesting. Yeah, arguably 3 songs in the entire episode, technically 4. But yeah, it was for that one. It was interesting. Ed, what did you think of The Hurt Locker Part 1?
So the first. It was very funny. The first 20 minutes, I was just like this episode is going nowhere. Just end. And then when it ended, I was like, are you kidding me? You can't just end there. In retrospect, I think I liked it more than I did when I was watching it. I was feeling the B-, and I'm gonna concur with Jennifer.
Interesting. Tiffany, how did you feel about this episode?
Well, I appreciated the fact that Crazy Sue makes no sense, Sue. But I'm going to give it a B for the simple fact that 1,000 Miles is my jam. It's my karaoke song. I love this song. They did pretty good. So I'm going to give it a B for that reason.
All right.
That's good.
I actually did not like it as much as any of you kind of just okayed it. I really had very little affection for this episode. Ian Brennan, if you go through his history on the show, Ian Brennan will go down in history as the most successful bad writer ever on television. For a guy who created what will go down in history as one of the most successful shows of all time, he's really not that good. And every time he gets a writing and directing opportunity, like in this one where he wrote and directed this episode, it always is one of these episodes that exists too far outside the boundaries of reality. And so there was just a lot of stuff in this episode that just was like that one step beyond reality that I found frustrating. So I would give it a C. I'm almost leaning on C minus just because there was so little music in the episode. Like there was, but I'm gonna give it a C because I agree. Vanessa Carlton for the win. Anything written by a former ballerina, huzzah. So I'll go with that. I'm gonna give it a solid C on the Hurt Locker.
Yeah. Well, Nate, just to reinforce what I was saying, like reinforce what you were saying. I actually liked the way it just went so off the rails. Like there were some moments, like and obviously in Sue's rant to Will, it went so off the rail and kind of summed up a lot of frustrations, but made fun of it at the same time. But good on you for acknowledging that. So I mean, that's part of the reason I was generous with the B minus.
Well, so the kind of centerpiece of this episode was the invitational that Sue created in order to shut down the Glee Club, which brought Vocal Adrenaline and the Warblers to Lima, because I think they're already both in Lima. But anyway, brought Vocal Adrenaline and the Warblers to McKinley High, where we continue the story of the New Directions being brought back with 4 people that I think had one line in this episode, so that was interesting. And also the story of Rachel trying to get... It's almost hard to break down this episode because so much happened and nothing happened. Yeah. So I guess we'll just kind of embark on this journey by talking a little bit about the invitational in general and how. I guess let's start with Vocal Adrenaline. Let's start with Will Schuester, and we'll kind of go around. This is really our first. We really spent some time with the new Will Schuester, the new old Will Schuester. And in his being a coach of Vocal Adrenaline. And so, let's start with Ed, because I know, Ed, you've always had a bit of a hate-hate relationship with Will Schuester.
When you said there's the new old Will Schuester, I'm like, you mean the finally accurate Will Schuester is what I was actually thinking.
No, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by finally accurate?
I don't know, just they didn't he was just so manic, and they don't need him at Vocal Adrenaline, legitimately. Not that he even did so much for New Directions, but he would just throw an assignment at them every week that had seemingly no bearing on the actual competition. So Vocal Adrenaline's we don't like you, and I'm like, yep, that's cool.
But then have him. That was my struggle with it. It was what purpose does he actually serve? Well,
maybe is it possible Ryan Murphy is the steps of Ryan Murphy hate is you get ridden off the show. But has Matthew Morrison crossed the line where he's no, you are contractually obliged to be with this show until it's over, and we're gonna make sure you're sticking with that. It's the next level hate.
Jennifer, Will Schuester and Vocal Adrenaline?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obvious that, he's put into this position where, okay, it's a school choir. They have to have a coach. Somebody has to be chaperoning when they get on the bus to go wherever, or, overseeing the budgets. But, okay, so the actual choir themselves, they've written him off, no problem. So I think this is just basically a catalyst to, show him what he lost and what he needs to fight for. That's all. And that's okay. I mean, because there's no way this series is going to end with him still coaching Vocal Adrenaline.
Oh, you think he's going to end up back at McKinley at the end of the show? Of course
he will. He has to. And the thing is, it's I don't care, again, I've let go of, past hurts and disappointment. And I just, whatever means it takes to get back to that, fun, quirky show that you could root for, I'm fine.
I mean, I think that was kind of my struggle with this whole episode is it was, at least for the first couple, I felt like we're on the road to being, some old school Glee, on the road to getting back to the characters. This episode was all kind of pomp and circumstance. It was just a bunch of kind of overcomplicated jokes and gags, and and then when Becky Jackson shows up in a lobster outfit for absolutely no reason, it just wasn't about the characters very much. And so as far as seeing Will as the as the coach of Vocal Adrenaline, on the one hand, I don't know why he's there. He doesn't seem to serve any purpose for Vocal Adrenaline. They actively dislike him. Mm-hmm. And yet he also is like really offended when this process, when Sue is kind of like threatening his job in a way. I don't know. It all kind of rang false for me.
He's always going to defend his position, regardless of where he is.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just kind of, when he gets lit up and he's like, all right, vocal adrenaline, let's go out there and beat him. And they just look at him like, we were going to do that anyway. Like,
and he has always been...
just made him powerless in a storyline where he's supposed to at least have some power.
But like, Will's strength has always been in his unwavering optimism and positivity.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that true?
So, what's been your historical feelings towards Will? Because everybody knows, like, where we've all stood. But
I feel like the show is trying to bring it back home, and I know that Will is going to be a very large part of the rest of this season, but to be perfectly honest, I would trade all of the future minutes of Will Schuester for like one 3-minute scene with Mike O'Malley. Like, we could just have Bert and Kurt like have like a heart-to-heart. Like, forget Will. We can just like throw him away.
That's a really good point. He's not busy.
No, he's got to... Wow, you just made Clyde, like, fall.
Clyde died.
Clyde's like, come on. But no, I mean, Bert will have to come back. But, like, I mean, like, do you think there's any purpose in giving Will purpose for the rest of the season?
I feel like they're struggling to figure out what to do with him, right? Like, if they brought back all of the old characters right in the Homecoming and they're going to be kind of, in and out, I feel like they have to have Will around because he was part of that original nucleus, even though his like plot lines are inane and he's really stupid and like a horrible person in general.
His wife, we know that. Yeah.
He did bury his wife. Yeah, it's hard to really nail down. Like, I don't know. It's on the one hand, I feel like it's a very unceremonious way to get rid of this character. I mean, even if he does have some kind of a redemption at the end of the season, comes back to the New Directions, and returns to McKinley, whatever. Like, it'll still kind of feel empty to me in a way. I mean, he even had that really impotent conversation with Sue, where he's like, he brings up. This is a freaking classic Ian Brennan move where out of nowhere Will Schuester says, "Hey Sue, I heard you're going to retire." Where did that come from? Like, that's a huge plot line. That's a huge concept of Sue's going to retire that just gets dropped in the middle of a conversation for absolutely no reason. And then he says, I know you're going to retire. I'm going to make sure the New Directions live after you leave. And then in the very next scene, Will is talking to Vocal Adrenaline, telling them how he's going to destroy the New Directions. It makes zero sense. And in that way, yeah, like I feel like Matthew Morrison's character is not being... He is getting absolutely no love as this goes out. And yeah, you're probably right, Jennifer. You're right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's how he will make the New Directions live. Is at the end of the seasons, he'll return, and he'll return to his home, and yada yada.
Well, and also, I mean, part of it is they have to bring Jayma Mays back for at least one scene because Will without Jayma and his baby is kind of weird.
It is super strange that she's not there.
And
now,
like he's showing baby pictures of just the baby alone, which means there's nobody
Wasn't
to hold.
that weird?
There's nobody to hold the baby. So like usually
That was
mom's
so
holding
strange.
baby and daddy takes picture, or daddy's holding
Do
baby.
you think they're going to bring him back as the coach, or do you think they're going to bring him back as the principal if Sue retires?
Could you imagine
Oh,
Will
God.
Schuester as a principal? He's the worst.
Well,
Did you notice, though, not only have we not seen Emma all season, but we saw her desk.
yes,
Yeah, no, I was like, why are we...
She works at the school.
I thought she was off on assignment somewhere. Wasn't
And-
she like teaching people?
I thought that was her desk, so it was her desk. I was like,
Well,
what?
Emma, that was the whole thing. Like Sue was
But hold on, isn't Rachel using Emma's desk
everybody.
to defend it? Didn't they say that Rachel was using Emma's desk? Or
See,
did I make that?
I thought that was her office, but Rachel is an OCD, so like, Sue going in there and like swapping a stapler with, just switching positions with a stapler and a tape gun
Is
isn't
it?
going to make
Like,
is it possible that Ian Brennan didn't get the memo and like just like is that greater than 0% possibility? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I think so entirely. You know, I'd had this conversation with somebody where they said, or I think we even talked about it on the show, how like the first season it seemed like Ryan, Brad, and Ian were kind of writing in a vacuum, and so the episodes would go in these cycles where like you'd see an Ian episode, which would then have continuity with another episode that he wrote 3 episodes later, and not pay attention to the 2 in between that were written by Brad and Ryan, and so I would totally not put it past Ian Brennan to be like, oh, I don't watch the show. I write episodes, but I don't watch it. That was a strange one. But
I mean, I record this podcast. If I listen to it, I don't know, not really.
Well, we watch it once now. We don't watch it twice.
We get as much as we can. Yeah, this week we definitely only watched it once. We didn't have time.
No, I was saying for like in respects to the podcast, like I don't really listen to the podcast that I'm on again.
It's kind of addicting. I will every once in a while put on the podcast, and I'll be like, wow, this is a really good show. Oh, look, that guy has a gorgeous voice. That's me. You know, it's
I've never listened to Podcast.
Oh, God, I think quite the opposite. I'm like, oh, my God, who's this super homosexual guy on this show is what I think.
So let's talk a little about Sue
That's
as
Josh,
we
by the way.
come to Sue's journey. So Sue, in any Ian Brennan episode, Sue is going to be a crazy, maniacal, insane person with a heart of gold. And she was, in this case, unleashing her hurt locker filled with all of her hate, which actually, this is where I keep my hate, is a pretty great line. And then we find out that she's obsessed with Klain. Sue is a Klainer.
For hateful reasons.
But for, well, what were the hateful reasons?
Well, she said alone they're like,
oh, yes.
like Sharpie, like they're Sharpie, they're annoying and all stuff, but together they're kind of like this neat little thing, and it's less annoyance in my world.
Okay, so I was thinking
Their wedding for some reason, Ed.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
You guys, you say this about Ian Brennan, and now I'm thinking about it, like this episode in particular had lots of solid season 1 references. Like,
Yes.
Like Will mentioned the muffler dragging, which is the only time I even remember that in a scene was in the pilot episode.
Oh my God.
And then it had in the Hurt Locker, it had the one football player that vanished, and it's like missing. I'm like, I'm like, so I'm like, is Ian Brennan like season 1? Like I don't know. Like this is like the most tied into season 1 episode ever.
Well, he also writes the most referential episodes. That's like in his. If you go through the series, whenever Ian Brennan writes an episode, it's very self-referential. But I wanted to ask Tiffany. Everyone knows our opinions on Klain. What are your opinions on Klain?
Okay, so the first episode that I ever watched was Never Been Kissed, and then so I came in like right as it like was starting, and for the first season and a half, I was like, I'm on board. I love these guys.
Aww.
And then I thought, Lord, they're horrible together. And then I was like, well, maybe they'll go to New York and it'll be great. I'm like, no, they're horrible together. So when they broke up, even though I knew at the beginning of the season, even though I knew that it wasn't actually going to last, it was the first time I wanted to see them grow apart. Like not grow apart, but grow individually, I guess is a better way to say. I know that they would only be growing for 13 episodes because the season's really short, and I know that it's not actually going to last. But I was on board with this ship, as Sue likes to say, for a while, and then I realized that they're really bad together. So I'm hoping that as they are living apart and they're sort of realizing that maybe they're better together. I know I won't get any closure because we only have, like 9 episodes left, but I could see a happy ending in the finale, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely feels like there's a happy ending coming for them, which seems appropriate. There was a bear. It's like this was one of those episodes where, as I remember it, as I go through it in my memory, I'm like, was there a bear on a bed at some point?
Yeah.
We got another one of these moments where Karofsky is an absurd gay person, like a picture of himself.
Yeah.
And a strange scene where he was in a bar, or he was in a restaurant, and he dated everyone in the restaurant.
Well, Sue arranged that, supposedly. Supposedly.
What?
But even...
Oh, sorry, Ed.
Oh, I said that... Didn't Sue say I arranged that? Like, every person you ever dated...
I'm not talking about, like, the implausibility of getting them all in the same restaurant. I'm talking about that's a lot of coverage in 2 years. I mean,
but is it
I don't know what the dating pool in Lima is.
is it Blaine not Karofsky's type? Like, or I'm just saying. Like,
It's
that.
true. It's been ruined for me. I think it was last week when Sammy said the show is just depressed that Grant Gustin got Flash, and so they couldn't bring back Sebastian to date Blaine, because that is the pairing.
That would have made so much more sense.
Oh, Sebastian.
You know, Kurt would have had to fight against. He's just kind of waiting it out at this point.
Yeah.
Like he's just sort of like he's passively waiting for, you know.
I will say this, that if they were going to bring Karofsky back and, you know, sort of wrap him up, Max Adler's such a much better actor than this material is allowing him to be, especially in that point in time in which he was, like, you know, having his suicide attempt and stuff like that. I was really impressed with his skills, and I'm mad at Glee for bringing him back, and this is going to be the last what we see of him, is this sort of overly lovey caricature. It's kind of gross, and I'm sad for him.
Yeah, you're right. It's insulting, and it's frustrating because, you know, when I saw that he was coming back for this season, I was like, oh, that's cool, you know, we're going to get some depth again. But you're right, it's wasted.
Yeah, he's playing a total caricature, and but you're absolutely right. I mean, in those moments that suicide attempt episode, like, he really had some chops, and by all accounts, he's the nicest guy in the world. So, you know, good for him. But yeah, there's not that much else to say on this. We did get a moment of apparently Principal Figgins, whose first name is Principal, has an identical twin sister who is the principal of Carmel High. I don't even know what to do with that, but I know if I don't mention it, someone will email me.
I honestly, I think this is a fun little throwaway for the fans. I think it's just.
I thought it was fun. I mean,
I don't. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think it's
I'll
anything where, you know, we need to talk any more than that about. Like, I think we're talking more than the actual scene.
Yeah. No.
Already.
I think it's adorable. I mean, forgive me, I don't remember the actor's name, but he's just.
Iqbal?
Yeah, Iqbal Thiba.
So
yeah.
he's fun, and, you know, to see him, you know, actually playing a dual role is kind of funny.
And we also got what I would imagine is probably the last time we'll ever see Brad, which was
The movie theater in NoHo.
That's true, because we see Brad in the neighborhood all the time.
Also,
Melissa Benoist is in Whiplash, and she's amazing. Last time I mentioned that.
What? So hold on. Are you saying it's maybe the writers that ruined Marley?
Yeah. She's
and
in 5 minutes, but she's captivating.
And she's Supergirl, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
She just got cast as Supergirl.
Like, being on Glee and becoming a superhero is officially a thing now. It's officially, like, two. I mean.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
I mean, I actually really like The Flash. My husband started watching it, not knowing at all who Grant Gustin was, and it's actually a really good show. I'm glad that it's doing well.
I only watched one episode and I wasn't too impressed, but it could have been a bad episode.
Except for another season, Tiffany?
Yeah, already.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, The Flash is huge, and my buddy used to write on it. So Chris used to write on The Flash. Yeah, but yeah, it's, you know, what were we talking about? And I also wanted to remember, does anybody remember the name of the kid who he was like the second Sebastian on the Warblers?
No, but he was like, I'm not gay. That's all I remember about him, right?
He was really pretty, but he wasn't gay, and then he was in that movie, that horrible movie, The Canyons, that Lindsay Lohan was in.
God.
But I also thought he would have been a perfectly good character to bring in.
Well, the thing, that guy is probably kicking himself. It's like the one character playing I gave discounted me for this role that I could have had. The one character thing.
But, I mean, okay, even though the character said he wasn't gay, I mean, that's not to say that, there wasn't a revelation or a change.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but that's like the one thing that I even know about him, besides the fact that he existed. So I'm like, well,
I hope I have this fantasy of Krofsky kind of snapping out of his lovey-dovey phase and just being, himself again. Like
you are living a fantasy world. That is true.
I would like to point out that, like,
for 5 years I've been projecting my fantasies to this show.
I'd like to point out that sentence, I have a fantasy that Karofsky has, like, that's the ship that launched 1 million fan fictions.
All right. Maybe fantasy was too big of a word because it was only, it's something that I thought of about 3 seconds before I said that. All right. I have an idea.
Well, let's we have to take a listen to. I want to point out, just to give everybody a heads up, I had some technical difficulties getting the show up. So if you're currently in the chat room and being like, "Why aren't they reading what I'm saying?" I'm not.
Oh,
reading what
that's
you're saying.
right.
The chat room's not open.
The
I
other
also
computer isn't working right now.
can't get the voicemails up. So we had a couple voicemails, and I'm really sorry we won't be able to play those.
The good thing is it's part 1 of part 2, or part 1 of 2.
Hey,
so
there we go.
at least it'll still be somewhat topical.
We could play the voicemails next time.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and we'll dive into this plot line because I have some words. But before we do, we will take a listen to Leah Michelle and Court Overstreet performing 1,000 Miles here on the Gleeful Podcast.
Staring blankly ahead, just making my way through the crowd. And I need you,
and I miss you, and now I wonder if I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. It's always times like these when I think of you, and I wonder if you ever think of me.
do you think of me? 'Cause everything's so wrong and I don't belong, living in your precious memory. 'Cause I need you, and I miss you, and now I wonder.
If you're watching live, I have where we record the show. I have all my favorite pictures of Jennifer right here, and so I was showing my favorite pictures of Jennifer, and then she did not like that.
Yeah, and I held up a picture of Josh from
98. It's my friend's wedding in 1998, so many years ago. So that was 1,000 Miles, as performed by Leah Michelle and Court Overstreet, or Samshel, as they are being called. And this is a relationship that I think the show just wants to happen because, it's primetime television and no one can exist alone. How would they be happy? I have a lot of thoughts about Samshel.
Rory Gilmore was happy.
Yeah, I have a lot. But let's go around the group and, Tiffany, how do you feel about Samshel?
I feel like in the fact that there's none of the regular characters are in a relationship now, that they have to have some romantic tension somewhere. I know that they hinted at it, what was that, last season? There was like some episode when they were in the New York loft and they were like making eyes at each other, so I wasn't surprised. But the fact that it happens and like Sam is being hypnotized by Sue, it's strange.
Yeah, it's kind of cheating.
You know what's sad? I completely forgot about the hypnotization plotline until you said it.
Really?
I don't
I'm so proud of it.
I forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like cheating. I mean, they're being unnecessarily mean to Rachel, I think, but you're right. I mean, they're kind of like creating romantic tension because the show feels it's necessary, but then also not really honoring that romantic tension and making it this weird hypnotism plotline. Ed, thoughts on Samshel?
I mean, it's just like what character is around and what character like that's it. That was it. That was like what character is around.
Yeah.
And maybe they're probably like, thank God we brought Corey over straight after we fired him in the middle of season 3, and then we brought him back in the mid-season 3, because we would be like, I don't even know where we'd be.
Yeah, it would be hard to introduce a new character who's age appropriate, still in Lana, but still in her everyday world.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels too convenient. They've never really presented a connection, like any chemistry between those two performers or between their characters, and yet they did seed it, as Tiffany pointed out. They seeded this last season in New York, like this was, going to happen. Yeah, I mean, it's also, I know I'm the last great champion of Finchel, but it's just not the way I think I want to see Rachel go out. It's like having Rachel go out on the arm of Sam is just boring to me.
I mean, why couldn't Rachel? Why couldn't it end with her open to possibilities? Like why? Like, I mean, as Jennifer was pointing out, that's how Rory ended. Even though I love Logan, if Logan would like to date me, I'm available.
Spoiler alert!
You know who that is.
I mean, it's from 2007. Come on, it's in 8 years. God.
The moratorium for spoiler alert is so beyond, and you don't even know who he is, even though you walked in on me watching the two of them together many, many times.
Well, yeah, as from season 5 on. But why? But why is that? That's a good comparison. Why can't Rachel be alone? Like, is that like?
You know what? And in a way, maybe that's it. And again, this is. I'll say fantasy, but it just occurred to me 2 seconds ago. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're saying like, oh look, this, and maybe she just needs to come to the realization that, her next great love isn't going to be the only other person in the room who's the same age and also just hanging around.
Oh, okay. I have a question. What is our what is our dream for Rachel now? Like, I understand she wants new directions to do well, et cetera, et cetera. But then, like, what is Rachel's dream? Like, that was not, like she can't, like, it can't end with her going to Broadway. I mean, I guess it could. That literally wouldn't be the most terrible thing in the world. But we've technically already been down that road. So, like, I don't know. Like, I almost would prefer if she was, like, sent to the UK or Australia on like off Broadway, because that was like the only opportunity she had.
She's on a cruise ship.
Or the London stage.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's my biggest struggle with Rachel right now is we spent all these years with her like chasing a very specific dream, achieving that dream, and then really like her entire purpose in Lima is killing time. Like she's got no reason for being there other than this kind of like finding herself. But really it's just like killing time until she moves back to New York and tries to get back on Broadway. I mean, even with like Kurt, Kurt's there to get Blaine back, and Blaine's there to be what Kurt gets back. Rachel has no reason for being there, and I find that really frustrating and kind of sad for that character that we've invested a lot in.
But okay, she does have a reason because she had this public exit from Broadway, had this public humiliation in Hollywood. She needs to hide out. I mean, that's it. I get it. But you're right. I don't know what her next goal is. I mean, realistically, she needs to... I mean, she had always said New York, Broadway was her thing. So she needs to do that.
I mean...
There's an interesting parallel. She realized that she wanted to be on Broadway and then kicked it to the curb for some stupid TV show. Now she wants to go back. And Kurt's like, oh, I really want to be with Blaine, but I screwed that up, so now I'm trying to get him back. You all reminded me of the reason why I'm giving this... ever since it started going into the crapper, I've been giving this show a pass because it had like a clear destination that I wanted to have, and when Corey Monteith died, they had to like change gears, and they just didn't do it well. And so I think no matter how bad it gets, and no matter how stupid the dialogue is, or how crazy Sue is, or how horrible Will is, I'm still like gonna be like a champion for the show, and I really want it to do well. And like every time that I get to be the point where I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore, they have like one like good episode or like a couple of really good scenes, and like this is why I kept with this show in the first place.
Oh, totally.
It's so great to hear. Yeah.
Like,
it's not just us.
It is great. I mean, in that way, like, we talked about weeks before the first episode, where it still is a show where things happen that no other show is doing on TV, and it was doing them 3 years ago. I kind of mentioned this before, but also in this episode in the Hurt Locker, when she actually went into the Hurt Locker and then into that back room where there was a giant blow up of Klaine kissing, and it was just very unceremoniously on screen without any fanfare. 4 years ago on Glee, that would have been a huge deal to have, Klaine actually kissing on screen, and here it was just.
Speaking of which, that happened at Dalton in a room where they were by themselves. So how is there this enormous photo of it?
Oh, Tiffany,
Sue
you're
had her
adorable.
drone back then, apparently.
Sue's been watching Glee.
I want a drone.
Sue is watching Glee. That would explain something, right? She's like I realized that could explain her erratic behavior. She's like, I wanted to be good to you guys, but I knew for the show I had to be who I was, to be the villain.
Okay, I just had this weird thought, the whole Usual Suspects thing. Like, she was in the background of every scene, of everything. Like, she was camouflaged, she was everywhere, and that's why she has so much, hate and anger for things that everybody else would been like, and she has to right the wrongs.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know. I just had this weird, it was sort of like a cross between Forrest Gump and The Usual Suspects. Like, Forrest Gump is Kaiser Soze.
Wow.
Right?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Wait, that means nothing.
Let's take a little
And
listen.
those movies are 20 years old.
Yeah. The spoiler alert is on the titles of the DVD, which we have.
Oh, yeah, don't watch the menu card.
Let's take a listen to Rock Lobster. This is performed anonymously by Vocal Adrenaline.
What was the song choice? Can you explain the song choice to me? I was like, what?
Tell me about it.
What are you doing? And then they did the second song or something, and I was like, really? Really? This is what you're doing.
Let's do some Rock Lobster, and then we'll come
Will.
back and talk a little bit about
all
the song
Will.
choice. Here is Rock Lobster.
No, it isn't, I think.
We were at the beach. Everybody had matching towels. Somebody went under a dock, and there they saw a rock. It wasn't a rock. It was a rock lobster. Rock lobster. Rock lobster.
That was Rock Lobster, performed by Vocal Adrenaline here on the Gleeful Podcast. Ed, I had the exact same response, that Vocal Adrenaline shows up with all their bad attitude, and then they did 2 songs. Rock Lobster has, I think, 5 words in it, and 90% of them are Rock Lobster. And then Whip It, which is also not really a very vocal song for a choir to do.
Well, do they want to make Vocal Adrenaline so unrootable because we're so anti-Will Schuester? Like, is that the level Ryan Murphy wants us to be at? Because I suspect very much so.
Like, wants us to hate Vocal Adrenaline? Is that what you're saying?
Like, because before we have argued like Vocal Adrenaline had the better performance. Like, we on this show discussed that, and now they're like, we are going to set it up so that you cannot say that. Like, like the fragments of New Direction performing like something probably not very stupendously, or at least nothing. No. But regardless, we have to like it more. Like, it has to be better than this, right? Even like, I don't know. You can only give sharp choreography so much.
I mean, that's really all this was a choreography number.
Yeah.
It was also, I don't know, like the choreography I wasn't even all that impressed with. I kept thinking like I've seen better vocal adrenaline numbers on the show.
I like. How is this the same? I realize it's not the same group, but how is this from the same tribe of people that made Bohemian Rhapsody? Like how? Like I don't even understand.
Totally agree. Jennifer, vocal adrenaline.
Okay, wait a second. Isn't Will still like giving New Directions a
No.
softball here? No?
What do you mean? I mean, song what?
No, giving them a softball.
Oh
But
no, I know.
Will's
No, I
doing
don't think. I don't think he is.
them before when he's like, hey, you know, we're gonna do the songs from my past, and this killed it back then. And I think he was subconsciously, you know, throwing the competition by doing these songs. But okay, I have to say. What?
Okay,
Rock
no,
Lobster?
no.
No. Okay, so I think this was intentional. I think Will had them do songs that were going to be less than impressive, even though they were still like, you know, grand and big production. Okay, but I do have a confession. When I was in high school, I lived in the city, but my dad lived down on the Cape. And went down one weekend to visit and was hanging out with my stepbrother and my step cousin, and we went into this little like podunk pizza parlor in Harwich, Massachusetts. And I went to the jukebox and I played this song, and it somehow got inserted somewhere between Led Zeppelin and, you know, I don't know, The Who or something. Everybody looked at me like I just, you know, like gunned down the place or something. I was like, come on. Nobody had heard of it, so that's my memories of Rock Lobster.
Your Rock Lobster memories.
That's my confession.
Rock Lobster memories.
Yeah, I destroyed this little pizza parlor in Harwich, Massachusetts.
Well, Tiffany, any thoughts on vocal adrenaline and their Rock Lobster?
I mean, I agree. Like, if I'm coming to like blow you away with my vocal prowess, I'm not going to pick those two songs. It's just not going to happen. So I'm not certain who made those decisions, but I was kind of like, well, I mean, I thought that the two that got to sing their mashup last week sang better than both of these songs. This will be fine. They may not dance around as well yet, but I mean, as far as voices are concerned, they got in the bag.
That's interesting, and that's actually, I think, the last question I have for you guys as we close out this episode is, what do you think New Direction's response is going to be to this? It's kind of funny that it appears that this invitational is going to span multiple days. It's already spanning like a week. But yeah, it does seem, I get the sense that we're going to go away from the invitational and then come back before New Directions actually performs. You know, I guess personally, I think that it'll be interesting to see how the kids interpret this and not have their souls crushed, which I know was the reason Rachel was asking Will to throw it so that it did not crush their spirits. I actually thought was kind of admirable. Jennifer, what do you think New Directions is going to do in this case?
You know, I stand by my belief that Will kind of went easy on them and misdirected vocal adrenaline to make it easier. But the funny thing was, as unimpressive as we thought this whole thing was, everybody's reaction, even the warblers, like
unbelievable.
Everybody was like horrified by all this. So like, for whatever reason, I mean, maybe it's just because it's the first time they're seeing them perform live as a unit, and that's impressive. Honestly, I think they're gonna do what they usually do, which is go the complete opposite. I think they're gonna go, you know, back to the basics. They're gonna like strip it down, and they're just going to win on raw talent. I think because they don't have enough people.
Yes.
They don't have the choreography. They don't have the budget for costumes. I think they're just going to win it on talent. And I think that's going to, like, give them the confidence to then grow and be this, you know, dominant, you know, force that'll live on and on and on.
And they'll obviously do Wheel in the Sky, which, as Sue pointed out, is the only Journey song they have not yet ruined. Ed, any thoughts on the future of New Directions?
That 8 people are going to pop out of nowhere just in time.
I mean, I think we can assume 2 of them, right?
Tell me the assumptions. I would like to know these assumptions.
Wait, one football player. Who's the other person?
Oh, I think Kitty's coming back.
Okay, your points are valid. Okay, well then.
She can bring some.
So that brings us to
Cheerios.
6. Yeah.
But no, she'll bring Cheerios, and the other dude will bring some.
Yeah, if they each bring 3 people with them, then we're golden.
How great was Sue pointing out that the true talent is the band that seems to be able to...
Oh, yes. That was like, yes, thank God.
That was fantastic.
Well, that was the thing.
It's all about
That rant
longevity.
had lots of fun callbacks in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that rant was pretty great.
It was. It was. Yeah.
And Tiffany, any final thoughts on New Direction's future?
I really would like to see them do something low-key killer, like some Boys to Men or something. They've only got 4 people, so that would like make sense to me. Like something very like quiet, but with like good harmonies. But I don't know. That's just. I know that they're gonna, or maybe they'll find out that one of them that graduated, like Brittany didn't technically graduate, so she can come back. Maybe I don't know.
Tiffany, if you're going to name check Boys to Men on my podcast, you are welcome in the Valley anytime.
Oh, yeah.
And we can discuss how everyone knows Water Runs Dry is their greatest song. Truly an amazing moment.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like a beautiful harmonic song that will just like showcase all of their talents, but how strong even at 4 they are together.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I just want to actually spend some time with them. Like, we spent so much time establishing that we were going to rebuild New Directions, and then we've spent 0 time actually doing it.
Yeah.
That's the voice. You spend all the season building the teams for the different coaches, and then the last half of the season is about which coach wins.
That's actually why I don't watch it.
Yeah, I don't watch it because of Blake Shelton. So let's.
I mean, those are both valid reasons.
Let's listen to some voicemails. I actually was
you
able to
got
pull
them
up
up.
a couple
Great.
voicemails, so let's see what we got here. Let's start. This one doesn't tell me where they're from. I hope it's good. I haven't pre-listened to these. Please don't suck. Voicemail.
No cursing.
Hey guys, listener Sammy here.
Woohoo!
Okay, so for about the first 10 minutes of this episode, I thought they had taken the meta writing way too far, like farther than Supernatural does, and not saying something. Then about 20 minutes in, I was wondering if it was supposed to be campy bad or if it was just a really bad episode. But about 30 minutes in, I realized it was definitely the campiest, weirdest, most meta episode of Glee ever, and I kind of loved it. And because I can look past all the crazy and weird and nonsensical, my only gripe is that I actually find myself shipping Sam and Rachel, even before this episode, and I feel like I'm being toyed with. Oh, this must be how the cleaners feel. Also, Rock Lobster, yes. My Glee anthology is now complete. Anyway, solid B grade on this week, and I can't wait to hear what you guys thought. Hey, bye.
Thank you. Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, if, Sam and Rachel end up together, I don't think it would be the worst fit. I just don't think it's the best fit. I think that it would be very safe and comfortable and kind of lazy on both of their parts.
Absolutely. There is no end game.
There's no
OTP in that.
There's no challenge. There's no drive. There's no like building each other up and encouraging each other to be the best them, and yeah. But he's cute.
Let's take a listen to another voicemail.
Hey there, Gleeful. This is Joey's Baby 956, just calling in to give some thoughts on The Hurt Locker. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I was laughing my butt off. I just thought Sue's monologues were so on point. And it was just really, really funny. It felt like zany, old, classic Glee, which I really loved. However, there were a couple of things that made me slightly, if not very uncomfortable. One of which would be Sue's hypnotism with Sam. And I felt very bad for Rachel. And B, honestly, I think, not Sam Sadie's, what are they called? I don't know what they're called. Sam and Rachel could be a very cute couple. I mean, in Glee canon, it's been about 2 years since then. So, okay, that's fine. I'd be cool with that, I don't really have any feelings bad or good about them. But I have an issue that he doesn't know what's going on. And some of the scenes that they wrote were very, very sweet and very, very honest. But the fact that it wasn't actually him made me very uncomfortable and not as happy about those scenes, and thinking that, oh, that could be a cute thing, like as much as they probably intended you to. I also felt just very bad for Rachel in general, because, you know, once it had worn off, Sam was just like, oh. However, I did love that when he was stealing Schuster's mail, he referenced Run, Joey, Run, which is possibly like the best thing ever. The other thing that I was slightly uncomfortable with was Walter. I believe that was his name.
Oh, yeah.
Get out of it, Kurt. Just please, just get out. Like, go on, like, you know, Tinder or something and find like a guy your age. Like, seriously, like, how did you not know that this guy is like 50? Like, he's as old as Bert. He could be your father. Like, no. Like, you know, as soon as I saw that guy turn up and say, oh, you know, I was in a closeted relationship for 30 years, I would have said, okay, that's nice. I feel bad for you, but unfortunately, not really what I'm looking for. Like, come on, Kurt. Like, just don't be ridiculous. Like, he's kind of freaky, just saying. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed it, especially Stevie's monologue about, what was it, Will, where she, you know, she references, like, all these different things that he's done and everything. I just thought it was just zany and wacky and hilarious and fun. So I can't wait to hear what you guys say, and can't wait to hear the show. Bye.
That's a good point. We didn't really talk about the tall cup of Walter. The show didn't really spend too much time with him, but it'd be interesting to see if he sticks around.
Yeah, and you know what? The whole time that he was there, all I kept thinking was, oh, now it's Kurt's time to be mentor. Like, well, like sort of the way Blaine was to Kurt. I mean, like, I don't think anybody's gonna end up with him. Maybe he'll pass him off to Karofsky. But
Yeah.
No, his only appearance in the series.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll see Harry Hamlin again, which I don't have a problem, because I really don't want. I mean, it'd be weird to have Kurt dating an older man plus an older man that tried to kill Veronica Mars. It would be too strange.
Unforgivable.
Unforgivable. You can't.
But he didn't succeed, right? Like, Veronica Mars is still moving, so.
Yeah, but I don't want. You know, spoiler alert. He's not a nice guy. That's all I'm gonna say. And if that's a spoiler to you, you need to get right with God, because if you haven't seen Veronica Mars, Tiffany. Oh, Tiffany.
When I saw him, I thought, okay, huh?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear you. No, when I said not for Kurt, but if they brought Beast back as a man, maybe him and Beast.
Well, that's bizarre.
Oh.
Could you imagine? That would have been an interesting way to reveal Beast as a man.
I don't know if they can do that in the timeline, but I mean,
cool.
like, we've always wanted, you know, Coach Beast to be happy.
Yeah.
And I just, interesting.
Well, let's.
We saw Harry Hamlin at the restaurant down the street from us.
Did we? Which restaurant was that?
The one I like and you don't.
Which one's that?
Oh, Bow and Trust.
Oh, the Bow and Trust. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Here is we have one more voicemail.
Hey guys, it's Alex again. Just wanted to call in and talk about the Hurt Locker Part 1. I actually really do hope that this is supposed to be a 2-part and not just 2 episodes that are labeled Part 2 and Part 1. I thought the episode was really cool. I liked it, except for the fact that this is pretty much Sue Sylvester's demise into insanity. Bitch was the perfect number for her to sing, and I'm sure everybody's been waiting about 6 years for her to sing that, and it was amazing, and I love the fire extinguisher and how she licked Rachel's food and all of that. Other than that, she seemed really psychopathic, so I'm not sure what's going on with her, but apparently she's the world's biggest cleaner. That was kind of weird and funny to watch, but I digress. I thought about 1,000 Miles was a really cool duet, too. I think Sam and Rachel have been showing chemistry ever since the Bill Joel episode, but now it's kind of coming to a head. I thought it was really funny how every time he would look at her, she'd look away, and every time she'd look at him, he'd look away. I thought it was funny that he looked like he was more into her hair than her, whatever. And then the 2 vocal Adrenaline songs were really funny. The Invitational is probably going to be a mess because there's only 4 New Directions members, but I'm sure that they're going to get more people to join next week because why not? And like I said, I really liked it, except for the Sam hypnotizing. That was really, really stupid. But I guess they needed a reason. So anyway, like I said, I liked the episode, and I can't wait to hear y'all talk about it. All right, bye.
Thank you very much. That whole hypnotizing thing was a very strange little plot point. On the one hand, yeah, like as we said before, it kind of robbed Samchel of anything really genuine. I will admit, though, when she shows up and she's like, "You look like somebody that's pretty suggestible," and he goes, "I don't know, am I? Yeah, I guess if you say so." And that was very Sam response to those queries.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like I was kind of liking the, the more grown up, more alert Sam,
Yeah,
I'm
he
like,
hasn't
I
been
don't want him
this
to be the
stupid
foible
in a while.
for stupidity anymore. It's, he was showing, strides in New York, and now that he's, back in Lima.
Yeah.
And he has dark hair, so now he's not, a dumb blonde anymore. Yeah, I don't know. It was just, it was very cheap. But I can't see them together.
It's hard to buy in the long term. Well, that's about all I have. Ed, anything else?
No. I'm curious to see how this ends. I'm curious how much they were also going to ignore the new people, like the 3.0s. It's so confusing. Like, they wanted us to care for a minute, but that's all. That's all the care you're allowed to have is that minute.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's like they went to such extremes to make us care, or to such extents to make us care, and now they're just like, don't worry about it. We're not gonna bother.
That's in the. There you go. There's their backstory, but it doesn't matter. They're just pawns. They're just pawns for Kurt and Rachel to be playing with. Is all.
And Tiffany, any final words?
I really like the 3.0s. I'm really sad at the lack of screen time that they're getting. I really wish that they would spend a little bit of time fleshing them out. But they have. The problem that Glee has had for so long is there's too much going on. There are too many storylines, and now that it's ending, they have too much stuff to wrap up. Because it'd be really weird if we didn't see this person or this person again. I kind of wish that they could have found a way to, if that was the route, to pick one or the other. Either have the 3.0s have this be their season, or to bring back everybody and sort of tidy things up and wrap it up in a nice bow and have that be it. But trying to do both with 13 episodes, I think, is really hard, and they've never been really good at multitasking.
I think you're exactly right. Yeah, it goes back to my alumni Glee Club idea. I think that's genius. Jennifer,
of course you do.
Any final words on this episode?
I mean, yes, it is very frustrating. But I think like they gave us in the first 2 episodes, they gave us a hint of an actual plausible, believable way of integrating the 2 storylines. And so yeah, I'm just growing frustrated like everybody else. But there are elements that and I'm so just open for this to be a satisfying finale. So.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, it does feel like we are zeroing in on something. Like, I don't know if it's going to be, if we have enough time to wrap everything up. I don't know if we have enough time to honor the 3.0s as much as I think, a lot of us would like to see them honored.
Yeah, I just hear
But it does seem like the show is aiming for something, which it has been a while since I felt like they really, had their eyes on a prize. And so for that, I grant them that's better than nothing. So I'm happy to see that. If you'd like to weigh in on anything we said tonight, you can email us at gleefulpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at gleefulpodcast. I'm at Josh Burnell. She's at Jenny Bay Creative. He's at Edward Giordano. And Tiffany, are you on the Twitters?
I am indeed. I'm at Tiff Langston, TiffLangston.
All right, and then
she's a big Google Pluser, and by big I mean she's like the only person I see besides like some other people, like 3 other people.
Besides like the owners of Google Plus, so that's awesome.
She's like a big
Why
pluser.
Google Plus, Tiffany?
So my husband's a tech guy. He's a software developer, and there was a point in time in which he and his sort of ilk, his friends and his colleagues, got so tired of Facebook and its lack of privacy that they all sort of moved over there. Even though they sort of slowly came back, they are still very active over there, and there are some of them who haven't come back to Facebook. So I really just hang out over there to talk with people who are very sort of tech oriented.
Nice.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, that is pretty much it for us. You can also find us on the Facebook if you would like to search for the Facebook. But don't do that. Find us on the Google Plus. As Tiffany just said,
Make that happen.
I don't know that I've ever. Oh no, you can watch the episodes. Except that the episodes are now getting flagged for copyright infringement. So maybe don't do that. Just go. Listen to the podcast. We will be back next week to discuss The Hurt Locker Part 2. I imagine that's what it's called. I don't know. Glee hates rules. If you'd like, and that's about it for us for the Gleeful podcast with Josh, Jen, Ed, and Tiffany. I'm Josh.
I'm Jen.
Pondering thought for everyone. Just send in a voicemail. Did Rachel's redemption arc have to be in Ohio? Thoughts?
And that's Ed.
Yeah, I'm Ed. Duh.
Thank you for joining us, Tiffany.
And I'm Tiffany. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Oh, and the song ended.
Oh.
That was, I would say, in all of our episodes, I have never finished that poorly. So wait,
Aw.
I'm going to cue up with it one more time.
It's a short, stupid song.
Yeah,
Not
it's very
stupid.
short. All right, I'm queuing up with it again. Okay, for the Gleeful podcast with Josh, Jen, Ed, and Tiffany, I'm Josh.
I'm Jen.
I'm Ed.
I'm Tiffany.
Good night, everyone.
Crack that whip. Give the master slip. Step on the crack. Break your mama's back. When a problem comes along, you must whip it before the cream sits out too long. You must whip it when something's going wrong. You must whip it. Now whip it in the shade. Shape it up. Get straight. Go forward. Move ahead. Try to detect it. It's not too late to whip it in the shade.
All right, we have completed recording. We are still live. I just want to thank you for joining me. What did you say?
Yeah. Oh, nothing.
Okay. Well, in that case, we will talk to everybody next week. Jennifer, Ed, obviously, Jennifer, I'm going to talk to you probably later
In
this
10
evening.
minutes.
Can we do Saturday morning again or something like that?
Let me look at my calendar.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't think I have plans.
Actually
Yeah, we'll figure
bringing
it out.
that up. That's the
Because when I don't know, my flight, I'm flying all day Sunday.
round.
Oh, that's right, because you're flying again. Okay, cool. We'll connect later in the week, and we'll figure that out. Tiffany, thank you for joining us.
Yes, it's so good.
Thank you for having me. So much fun.
Yes, and your bookcase is awesome.
Yeah, I know.
I love that bookcase while in your head. So.
Well, I mean, I when I moved to New York City, I didn't have. I got rid of like 3. I had so many books. I had so many rooms in my house for books, and so this is all the books I have left now. It's very sad. I got rid of like 300.
Gosh.
Oh my God.
But thank you.
Well, that's great. Well, good luck getting settled there. I hope it all works out for you guys.
Just hope that I don't like fall in a snowdrift and never to be seen or heard from again.
Yeah, I remember like walking to the train, and I had about a mile walk to the train station. It was like 7 below, and I'm all bundled up, and yeah, good luck. I kind of miss it, but I guess now I don't.
See, and Jennifer's advice is to wear a scarf and get good boots, and my advice is to move, because the world is telling you it doesn't want you.
Yeah. Oh, Josh looks at my family every year at Christmas, and he's like, "So, why do you still live here?"
Doesn't make, but that said, California's really full. So
yeah, and
New Mexico,
my family started
Arizona?
moving out here, and he's now regretting those comments.
But we like you, Tiffany, because you appreciate voice men.
Yes.
Like I do. It was in the the sort of like middle like elementary middle school like wheelhouse for me. Like the like on Bended Knee came out when I was in like
Money.
the 6th or 7th grade, and I had a friend who sang like voice men for all of the talent shows and stuff. So there's like I have a connection. I've seen them. I saw them when I was in middle school, and then I saw them again like a couple years ago. I saw them at 4, and I saw them at 3.
Wow.
They're still great.
See, and I totally got what you meant by that, because normal people would be like, you saw them when you were 4 and then you saw them when you were 3. But no, I get it, because, one of them was like, I'm a man now, or I'm still a boy. I don't know. My joke didn't pan out. All right, good night, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Adios. Bye.